Good evening, everyone. This is Sheena, your Caribbean College Planner and Advisor at the Student Center. And this evening, we are here to talk about applying to pursue medicine. And I'm really excited about this particular webinar out of all of our March webinars because this is about promoting institutions that are based right here in the Caribbean region. So I am really excited. This is under our Study Caribbean. Normally we're here doing all different destinations, but I'm especially proud today to promote studying in the Caribbean and featuring some of the region's leading medical schools. And I have with me today my two colleagues. I have Colin Dow, who's no stranger, being on live with me, representing St. George's University out in Grenada. Hi, Colin. Nice to see you.
Greetings, Sheena, and hello and good evening to everyone who has logged on for this evening's webinar.
Yeah, good to see you again. And I have a new face and definitely this will not be the first and last time. There's more to come. I have Ms. Jennifer Stovall. She is representing a couple schools. One is Ross University School of Medicine right here in Barbados, where I am based. And then she's also going to be representing the American University of the Caribbean, based out in on the Dutch side of St. Martin. So hi, Jennifer. Welcome to our live and good to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So what we're going to do, everyone usually knows, we are going to start with our presentations. We are going to talk about how to become a physician. And this is targeting persons who may be interested in becoming a physician either in the US or the UK. These schools actually offer options while being in the Caribbean with pathways for you to become a medical doctor in the United States of America or the United Kingdom. And you can do that right here within our region. And I am not the expert on this, so I'm going to hand it over. We're going to start first with Jennifer, who's going to talk to us about the American University of the Caribbean School of Medicine and Ross University School of Medicine. Over to you, Jennifer.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we are going to talk about AUC and Ross Med. So two wonderful universities with one common goal of training future doctors. So just so you're aware of the volume of students that we bring in, we have over 20,000 graduates practicing around the world. So in between AUC and Ross, we have produced more MDs than any singular US medical school. So we have a long history of training students to become physicians. So why should you consider our medical schools? And there's several things. So our curriculums are designed to prepare you for the United States medical licensing exams so that you would have a pathway to practice in America. We offer a collaborative approach to education taught by some amazing faculty members. As you heard earlier, our medical science campuses, so Ross is based right there in Barbados. AUC is on the Dutch side of St. Martin, and we have a UK track, which is a partnership with the University of Central Lancashire in Preston, England. And I'll talk more about that as we go on. But we have a strong, robust network of clinical sites for you to do your clinical training. Those sites are across the US and the UK, that global network of alumni, and a strong residency attainment rate. We are internationally recognized and accredited. I won't go through and read all of this to you, but AUC is accredited by the ACCM because they are the governing body for the island of St. Martin. And then Ross is accredited by the CAAMHP. Because we have that campus in the UK, we're also recognized by the UK's General Medical Council. And I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but the US residency placement actually just took place last week. So we're still gathering a lot of data, but so here are our preliminary results. So when we look at outcomes, so after students go through medical school and they go to enter into the US residency matching program, what I'm showing you on this slide and the next is the actual outcomes. So here you're seeing American University of the Caribbean School of Medicine. So for this past year, of all of our students who entered into the US residency match on their first attempt, 98% of our students actually matched into residency positions. So they matched across 22 different specialties. They matched across 37 of the US states and territories. So outstanding outcomes. So this is showing you that not only are our students graduating from medical school, they're actually securing residency positions in the US. And let's quickly take a look at Ross's stats. So Ross right now is coming in at 97% first-time residency attainment rate, also with 22 different specialties, and those students matched across 40 of the different US states and territories. So again, great outcomes for all of our students. And I'd like to point out that a lot of AUC and Ross graduates will still go into the primary care fields, but they're not limited to that. So if you are thinking about becoming a doctor in one of the more highly competitive specialties, our curriculums can get you there as well. So we've seen students matching into orthopedic surgery, obstetrics, gynecology, emergency medicine, whatever sort of physician you're thinking about being, our curriculums can help get you there. Now, let's talk about the different pathway options available to you. So I'm going to cover graduate entry, an undergraduate 6-year pathway, and our MBBS to MD program. So first, let's talk about our graduate entry. So this is our standard program. So this is for students after university, right? So we follow the US curriculum, where students would typically go to high school, then go to university and do a science-based pre-med program, and then enter into medicine. So this is the 4-year program after a science-based university degree. The first 2 years are medical sciences, so that's when you're in the lectures and labs. And then there you can choose for AUC to attend our flagship campus over in St. Martin, or you can choose our UK track, which means to do the first 2 years at our program site in the United Kingdom. Think same curriculum, same testing. You just have an option which campus you want to attend for medical sciences. Regardless of where you go for those first 2 years, all of our students are required to sit and pass United States Medical Licensing Exam Step 1. And once you submit that passing score, then you enter into years 3 and 4 of the program, which are your clinical sciences. So this is when you're actually in the hospitals, doing your clerkships, kind of figuring out what sort of physician you want to be. Once you complete that, all of our students are required to sit and pass United States Medical Licensing Exam Step 2. That exam tests you on your knowledge of the clinical sciences, and then you graduate with an MD degree. So university, then 4 years of medical school, graduate with the MD degree. Now, for those of you who are thinking about going into medicine after high school, we have an option for you as well. So AUC and Ross don't currently have our own pre-med program. So again, we partnered with UCLan over in the UK. So this is available for AUC only. And basically what this option is you could apply to our partner UCLan for an accelerated bachelor's degree. So this is a year-round, 2-year honors bachelor's degree in medical science provided by the University of Central Lancashire. We recognize that program as a quality bachelor degree that's you only need to complete in 2 years. So once you complete that bachelor's degree, then you can actually go right into AUC and start in semester 2 of our medical science curriculum. And then you continue the same pathway for 4 years, just as I explained on the previous slide. Now, the third option AUC has to offer is what we call our MBBS to MD. So you can see this graphic looks just like the 4-year graduate entry program. But if you are a student that has already conferred an MBBS degree, not somebody who's in the middle of it or still working through it, but if you've already completed an MBBS degree, you can apply to AUC to join our program, and you could potentially start with us in semester 5 instead of semester 1. So we basically give you credit for earning that MBBS degree, and we place you at the latest part of our medical sciences curriculum. The benefit of this is we're still going to prepare you for those United States medical licensing exams. We're going to give you access to our hospital network for your clerkships, and you'll graduate with the AUC MD degree. Now for Ross Medicine over in Barbados, this is a 4-year program as well. So graduate entry medicine after university. The first 2 years are going to be in Barbados. So again, medical sciences, preparing you for the United States medical licensing exam. And then once you enter into the clinical training portion, all of Ross's hospitals are in America. So you would spend 2 years in Barbados, 2 years in the US, and you would graduate with an MD degree for Ross University School of Medicine. All right, now we're going to look at what we are looking for in the ideal candidate from the admissions perspective. So just keep in mind, AUC and Ross have our own applications. We don't have a common app. So for AUC, we just go to the AUC website, click on Apply Now. And then, of course, you can go to Ross, click on their website as well and apply now. Start your applications. Both AUC and Ross accept applications up to 1 year in advance. So if you are a university student right now in your junior year and you are ready to apply, you could start that application. We both enroll students 3 times a year, so every January, May, and September. So we are still accepting applications for May of 2024, but that application deadline is around April 10th. So if you're still thinking about starting in May, get that application started. Otherwise, you'd be looking at September 2024 and then January of 2025. And here are the basic program entry requirements. Since we are graduate entry medicine, we do need your transcripts from that bachelor degree. We have some compulsory courses, and then the standard medical school application. So personal statement, letters of recommendation, CV, and we do personal interviews. So no MMIs, no panel interviews. These are one-on-one. If you've applied to both AUC and Ross, you'll actually go through 2 interviews with representatives from the different schools. We can start with your unofficial transcripts, but all offers would be contingent upon receiving your final official transcripts. That personal statement, just let us know why you're going into medicine. I promise we read these. This is my favorite part of your application. We want to know why you're going into medicine. And then medical admissions exams. So if you guys have US citizenship or US permanent resident status, we will require the MCAT exam. If you do not have US citizenship, and then we have the ability to waive that exam for you. Now, here are those compulsory courses that we're looking for. So you guys know medicine is very strong in the sciences. So we want to see a strong science foundation at university level from you. So think you should see on your transcripts a couple biology courses with the lab, a couple general chemistry, organic chemistry, and a university level math class, which is typically physics, statistics, calculus. There are a couple of different variations on this. There's some flexibility on this. So if you're missing 1 or 2 of these points, it's okay. Please reach out to us. We can often waive those. This is just to give you a general guide of what we're looking for from an admissions standpoint. And then once you submit your application and all of your documents, you go through the interview process. Here are the possible decisions you could receive from AUC and Ross. Of course, you could get accepted, which is fantastic. Then we'll work with you to get you to campus. If your application comes up further review, we'll work with you one-on-one. We'll let you know if there's something missing from your application. Maybe there's something that you need to enhance before you reapply. We're going to work with you personally on that. And just a quick note here, you might be offered our medical education readiness program. So I won't go into a lot of detail, but think about the medical education readiness program as something that could be offered to you if our admissions committees weren't 100% convinced you were going to be successful in first semester medical school. So MERP is 15 weeks. It's completely online. Think about it as first semester medical school coursework, but at about 70% of the course volume. So if this is something that you're offered, let's talk more about it. We'll see if this is the right option for you. And then I'm going to close here just talking a little bit about scholarships and tuition and fees. So if you are a U.S. citizen, go to our websites and look at all the scholarships. Incoming students can only receive 1 scholarship award. If you are non-American, these are the scholarships that you're going to want and to accept. So AUC offers an international scholarship valued at $80,000 US. Ross offers an international scholarship, which is valued at $100,000. Each of these are spread out across your entire duration of medical school with us. So for example, at AUC, $80,000 is spread out across 10 semesters. So think about the scholarship as taking off $8,000 per semester that you are with us. Again, these are the 2 highest scholarships for each of the medical institutions. So if you're non-American, you will be awarded these once you are accepted. There's not even an application for them. But for all of our Americans or US permanent residents on this webinar, go ahead and take a look at our website and see which scholarships you would be eligible for. And then AUC tuition and fees. All of these are available on our website, but I wanted to break this down for you. So at AUC, there is 1 cost per semester for each of the medical sciences, And then there's a different tuition and fees for clinical sciences. So when we break it all down here, the total tuition and fees for all 4 years before scholarship is around $295,000 US. But remember, we're going to take off that $80,000. So you can see at AUC for international students, all 4 years after that scholarship, you're looking at around $215,000 US dollars. Now for that 6-year pathway that I mentioned, remember you're going to start with a 2-year of accelerated bachelor's degree from our partner UCLan over in the UK. So if you're doing that bachelor's degree, those tuition fees would be paid directly to UCLan. And UCLan posts that their tuition and fees for international students are around 15,000 Great British pounds per year. So we would be adding around 30,000 pounds to this price. So I did a quick conversion just on my phone. 30,000 pounds is around 38,000 US dollars. So you would add that to this base price. And for those of you interested in that MBBS to MD pathway, if you were to come in and start with us in semester 5, obviously your tuition and fees and scholarship would start in semester 5. You would be then completing 6 semesters with AUC, and those total fees would be around $140,000 US for the MBBS to MD. And then just quickly for Ross, similar sort of outline and how they would do that. So their medical sciences are a little bit different for the tuition, and then you can see the clinical sciences fees per semester. So again, around 350,000 US dollars for all 4 years, but then we're going to take off 100,000 for our international students, leaving that with around 250,000 US for all 4 years. And I know we're going to hold questions for later, so I think I will stop sharing there, and then we'll hand this over to Colin, and then we'll be happy to collectively answer questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for that comprehensive presentation. So if you guys look at it, if you don't have these options, before these options, pathway to the US really consisted of 4 years of an undergraduate degree at preferably a US school. And then you have to take MCATs. Then there are other little dynamics there, then to get into medical school. So this is like a condensed way to become still a physician in the US, and that was well explained by Jennifer, offering pathways for persons out of high school, persons with an undergraduate degree already, and persons with an MBBS seeking to gain entry into the US to become a physician. So now we're going to move over to St. George's, and we're going to have Colin tell us now what the offerings St. George's have for students interested in pursuing medicine. Over to you, Colin.
All right, thank you, and good evening to you all once again, and welcome to Grenada, because I am in Grenada, and of course I am showcasing St. George's University. Yes, I am showcasing St. George's University. I can't help but show off our campus over and over and over again. So this is us. It's not a Sandals resort or one of the Marriott resorts or anything. This is St. George's University, which proposes to be your home away from home as you engage in medical education. Just a little bit about us. We started off as a standalone medical school in 1977, so over 47 years of doing medicine. We became a full university in 1996 with the introduction of the School of Arts and Sciences, which does undergraduate programs. Veterinary medicine, we began in 1999, and graduate programs, master's, doctoral degrees, we have had ongoing since 1994. We have a student population of just over 8,600, probably the largest English-speaking medical school in the world, with some 6,583. In our MD program, 6,423. Just shy of 1,000 in vet med, just shy of 800 in the undergraduate programs, just under 400 in the graduate programs. 104 different countries represented among our student population. So yes, we are in the Caribbean, but we are advertising an international education that begins on our campus in Grenada. And of course, you'll be able to branch out as you complete your training elsewhere. Yes, by country of birth, 68% of our students are US citizens. As you look at the globe, wherever you see colored in maroon, we have had a student from there. Throughout our history, over 150 countries represented among our student population. And hence, That multiculturalism is something that we celebrate. It is a fact that in the 21st century, your clients and your colleagues would look less and less like you. Cultural competence becomes extremely important, and that we offer at St. George's University by virtue of our multiculturalism. When I look at the successes, I will start off with our Caribbean grads. Over 3,500 Caribbean graduates of St. George's University. We purport to be a Grenadian institution that follows the North American curriculum, but remain grounded in the Caribbean. And I'll be able to explain that in a short while. But Bajan graduates, 28, but you notice graduates from Belize to Guyana and every other Caribbean territory in between. As I zero in on our School of Medicine, forgive me a few bows. Over the last 45 years, St. George's University School of Medicine has graduated over 22,000 physicians, making a major landscape impact on the medical care landscape, practicing in all 50 US states and over 50 countries around the world. No other medical school in the world provides more new doctors into the US healthcare system than St. George's University. We have been the #1 provider, largest provider of new physicians for the last 10 years combined. We are the largest source of physicians in the US healthcare system. This stat speaks to the American Medical Association each year has a survey of their licensed physicians. And one of the questions is, where did you go to school? Where is your alma mater? St. George's University is the #1 response to that question by physicians who are licensed and practicing in the US. Those two last slides spoke to the quantity of graduates that we are providing to the US healthcare system. US News and World Report speaks to the top 20 US hospitals in the US, and there are familiar names on here: the Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, Johns Hopkins, Mount Sinai, etc. We have had a graduate of St. George's University practicing at each of the hospitals named by US News and World Report as the top 20 US hospitals. That speaks to the quality of the education from St. George's University. Now, let's take you from where you are to where you would like to become. So you're an aspiring physician, and that is the end game. And we look at where you are academically, and you can enter into a 7-year program, a 6-year program, a 5-year program, or a 4-year program. So following the North American model, one needs to hold a bachelor's degree to enter into the 4-year program. The 4 years colored in orange. Years 1 to 4 in orange, that would be your entrance point and your curriculum if you hold a bachelor's degree. But we all know in the Caribbean, following the British model of education, we typically apply to medicine after high school. So if you're coming to us after Form 5, after CSEC, you can enter into a 7-year dual degree program. Dual degree meaning you earn 2 degrees. At the end of your 4th year, which is the first year in orange, you earn a Bachelor's of Medical Sciences. And at the end of year 7, year 4 in orange, you earn your Doctor of Medicine. Yes, there is no second application. So when you're accepted to St. George's University post CSEC, you're accepted to a 7-year dual degree medical program, earning 2 degrees, no further applications. If one does CAPE, as typically would be the case, then your evaluation would be for a 5-year program. So you come in at year 3 in blue, and you do 1 year of preclinical coursework, and then the 4 years in orange of medicine. If you only did 1 unit of chemistry, or 1 unit, sorry, of CAPE, or you did high school following the US model, so you graduated from grade 12, then you can enter into a 6-year medical program, 2 years in blue, and then the 4 years in orange. In other words, we assess based on where you are academically and move you forward to realizing your dream of becoming that practicing physician. The flags represents where you can be at any point in time of your studies. So coming into the 7-year program, then you will start off in Grenada. But we do partner with University of Northumbria, which is in Newcastle in England. So someone coming into our 6-year program or someone coming into a 5-year program, or someone coming into the 4-year program can start off either in Grenada, you see the red, green, and gold of the Grenada flag there, or at our partner University of Northumbria in the UK. In the 2nd year of the 4-year MD program, everybody's home on campus in Grenada. And then you rotate back out for your final 2 years to do your clinical clerkships. So coming in from high school, 7-year program, 3 years in blue, 4 years in orange. Coming in after Cape, coming in after Barbados Community College or with an associate degree, 1 year in blue, 4 years in orange. Coming in with a bachelor's degree, 4 years in orange. The 4 years in orange comprises 2 years of what is referred to as basic sciences, lots of classroom, a little bit of hospital, and then 2 years of clinical clerkships, year 3 and 4, lots of hospitals, a little bit of classrooms. We have over 75 affiliate hospitals between the US and UK where you can do your clinical rotations. So that is the mapping of St. George's University medical curriculum, where you start off based on your academic attainment and move seamlessly along through 7, 6, 5, or 4 years through graduation to becoming that practicing physician. Now, what do you need to do? To enter into the 7-year program, you need to have a minimum of 6 CSEC passes, which must include chemistry, biology, math, physics, and English A, English language. All right? High school diploma and good, strong performance in the sciences, grades 10 through 12, if you're following the North American model of high school. That's for the 7-year program. For those who would be considered for the 5-year program, you will hold an associate degree, minimum GPA of a 3.5. Chemistry and biology will be our focus. International baccalaureate diploma, minimum of a 32 overall, higher level chemistry and biology, minimum of 5. CAPE, 1s and 2s in both unit 1 and 2 of chemistry, biology, and one other subject. A-levels, A's and B's in chemistry, biology, and one other subject. Please note that whenever I called the subjects, I started with chemistry first. This was not accidental, not coincidental, and I certainly was not alphabetizing. It is that chemistry will be the first subject we will look for and look at when reviewing your application. But we take a holistic view of applications. And therefore, we also look for what I like to refer to as some of the intangibles. We want to see that you have been an active community member. We want to see that you have been volunteering. So any opportunity that you have to shadow a physician, to volunteer at a senior citizen's home, to volunteer at an orphanage, to be a member in a number of the service clubs, Interact Club, etc., that's important. It teaches you service. It demonstrates your commitment to helping others. It strengthens your applications. We also look for letters of recommendations, and those letters of recommendations will come from your teachers. Science teachers, please. POB teacher applying to medicine, I don't think so. So your chemistry teacher, your biology teacher. But if you have been volunteering, in addition to that, the supervisor who have been looking at you in volunteering, or the physician you have shadowed. Yes, there will be an interview where you get to tell us more than just what is captured in the application. And we get to ask additional questions. And then, of course, the essay, you got to tell us why you want to be that physician to change the world. All of this captures your level of motivation, because your academic ability plus motivation with our support services spells success. Now, as we look at the tuition, and I'll just give you the full tuition as it ranges across all programs at St. George's University, but we will focus in on the last two. In other words, the annual tuition for the 4-year MD program is circa, I'm going to round up, $90,000 per year. For the preclinical year, remember those years in blue, whether it was 3 years before the 4, or whether it was 1 year before the 4, or 2 years before the 4, depending on whether you're coming in with CSEC, 1 year of CAPE or high school diploma from the US, etc., or the full 2 years of CAPE. For preclinical years, $40,000 US per year. When promoted into the 4-year MD program, $90,000 per year. Now, for international students, that is the value of your education. It certainly is not the cost to you if you are from the Caribbean. Because as a Caribbean student who is doing any form of undergraduate education with St. George's University, you get an automatic waiver of 65%. So we're speaking medicine. Let's zoom into the middle of the slide. International rate, remember I said for pre-clin, $40,110. For you as a Caribbean student, 65% comes off automatically. So your annual tuition is $14,039. Of course, you don't pay for the year at once, you pay by the term. When promoted to the 4-year MD program, we have a number of scholarships and bursaries that will be available, and we stack scholarships. So for example, one can get a Legacy of Excellence Award because of your strong performance in pre-clin or the strong academic performance that you have had coming in. There are Legacy of Excellence Awards, which can go up to 20% of our published tuition, that 90,000 I referred to. Then there's the International Peace Bursary, which is a need-based award, gets towards citizens from developing countries. Citizens of the Caribbean are included in that. And the International Peace Bursary can go up to 50% of the published tuition, which is the maximum that we would give to any one student. So one can stack scholarships up to 50%, or one can utilize the IPB, International Peace Bursary, up to 50%. If you have a brother or sister joining you, there are sibling scholarships. If you have done great work in terms of service to community, humanitarian awards, all these are available on our website. But some, the automatic ones, the academic ones, automatic. You'll be assessed for that without an application. International Peace Bursary, you will submit a confidential financial statement, your need will be assessed, and there will be a determination there. You can apply for the humanitarian award, showing off the things that you'd have done. Another interesting thing about St. George's University as well is that we have a limited number of institutional loans. Sometimes there is a funding gap. You would have received scholarships from the university. Your parents would have sought loans in order to fund your education, but there's a gap between what the full tuition is, the scholarships you received, and the monies that you were able to secure through savings and loans. St. George's University, for some of the students, we loan you the money to pay us, and then you return that payment upon graduation. So there's a limited number of institutional loans that are available to students at WELL, ensuring that the education that is available at SGU is accessible. And over 90% of our Caribbean students receive some form of scholarship or bursary. If you're a US citizen, you have access to federal loans just as if you were going to school in the US stateside. You can borrow through Grad Plus loans and others up to the cost of attendance without a problem at all. How do you apply? Easy enough. Go onto our website, www.sgu.edu, or certainly working with the Student Center, utilizing the portal, and that information I know Ms. Allen will give to you. But there's a big red button that we have, apply now. Now we have 2 start dates for the preclinical program. You're coming in from CSEC, coming in from CAPE, coming in from an associate degree. We start the 3rd Monday of August and the 3rd Monday of January. If you hold a bachelor's degree and coming into the 4-year program, there are 3 start dates. You can begin the 3rd Monday of August and 3rd Monday of January, but also that 1st Monday of April. Now, we have a rolling admissions system. So whenever we have a completed application, we roll. That's fine. But we prefer to see applications coming in by June 15th for an August start, by November 15th for a January start, by February 15th for an April start as guidelines. So submit your application, submit your supportive documents in terms of CAPE, CSEC, your transcripts, letters of recommendations, etc. You'll be evaluated. Then the step 3 is an interview. Not every applicant will be interviewed, but every accepted student would have gone through an interview. And then the admissions decision comes. Accepted. Hopefully you accept the offer, submit the deposit to secure your spot, travel to Grenada, and start studying medicine at SGU. An outstanding educational experience that is designed to get students to their goal of becoming a globally recognized professional. I thank you so very much for your attention, and look forward to answering any and all of the questions you'll be throwing at us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Colin, for your presentation and for outlining how it works, the different pathways for students, whether they're coming from secondary school, state college, or community college, or university. Thank you for that. I want to get straight to the big elephant in the room. So let's get straight to the tough question first, then we'll get easier. Now, I know everyone knows that medical school is not cheap. There is no ands, ifs, or buts. It is an investment, a major investment. And so, for persons that really want to consider different options, let's address how some students afford your institution. So, I know thank you, Jennifer, for giving us that total cost, because that helps to put things in perspective. But are they payment plans for persons by the semester? Do you expect the semester paid in full? How does it work across your different institutions?
Sure, thank you for that question. Tuition is billed per semester. So about 2 weeks before the beginning of each semester, the student can go right to their student portal. And so they will see the tuition and fees, as well as any deduction of scholarships done per semester. And if you think about it, each semester is about 4 months in duration. So the families have that entire semester to pay off that semester before the student progresses to the next semester.
Okay, so that means that they can pay part of that semester bill within the 4 months, but it must be completed by the end of the semester.
That's correct.
And it's the same principle, Sheena, in that you need to clear your last term bill before moving on to the previous term. But this is in terms of our operations. One of the things that we do is that we have a financial aid counselor that is assigned to the family. We have a conversation about financing one's education before you even start. I mentioned in the presentation the confidential financial statement, which is a form that we provide to the family. And it says, basically, you write down, it's like going to the bank for a loan where you have to put on your statement of affairs. And it's same in principle. Write down what the earnings was like, what savings were like, what loans that you have for other reasons, etc. And how much monies do you anticipate having per year to fund that student's education. So it allows the family to think in real terms, the amount of money they need to come up with in order to fund. So that conversation starts early. We certainly don't want one to be coming, let's say one year into their medical education, and then there's a challenge for funding. That's just not fair to the family, not fair to the students. So the financial aid counselors will work from the get-go with these students to make sure that there is a 4-year plan, 5-year plan, 6-year plan, depending on where they're coming in. And the university, through scholarships and bursaries, and that advising along with payment plans. So one of the things that is quite common, and we see it in some places in the region, is access to foreign exchange. So we work with families, recognizing that if you are from country X, and I can call Trinidad out, if you are from Trinidad, there is an issue with access to foreign exchange. And by virtue of that, we recognize this, and we will work with the family in having a different payment regime in order for them to fund their education.
All right. Now I have what might be considered an awkward question, so hear me out first. So we know in the Caribbean that a lot of students, if they're interested in medicine, one of their more logical options may be the University of the West Indies, which is a good option for many. But if we had to stack you guys at the side, what are some of the advantages that your institutions offer in comparison? Not saying that one is better than the other, but obviously each of you have your uniqueness about you. So from hearing you, I could point out the type of students that would suit each of your institutions. But what are some of the advantages in terms of, I know when you finish your MBBS, you can become and you get your license general practitioner, which is fine. But what are some of the other layers that you guys add? Because I know you mentioned there are different types of specialties you can get into. What are some of the advantages you will say if someone is considering this coming from the region?
Sure, I'll quickly add one thing, and maybe we can go back and forth. AUC and Ross, we have incredibly small class sizes, right? Remember, we enroll 3 times a year, every January, May, and September. We do that purposely so that we can have smaller class sizes so that the students can have all the attention that they need, not only to help with them academically, but as they progress to give counseling and helping them choose their hospitals for their clinical clerkships so that they can be thinking about their network and getting their letters of recommendation when it comes time for the next piece, which is the entering into the U.S. residency match program. So having different touch points along the way, different resources available with those individual students so that we can support them throughout their journey and even after they graduate with their MD degree into residency and beyond.
I think, Sheena, it is important that students explore, and that's fine. And then when we're speaking of graduate education or professional education, it is about fit. Which institution is the best fit for you? That's important. So, we can speak about, and I will speak about St. George's University. If you ask me what are the things that would stand out in my mind, I would say our student support services, bar none. Our Department of Educational Services is the largest department on campus. Instinctively, you may say anatomy, physiology, or one of those. No, it is the Department of Educational Services with a number of the learning strategies, etc. And their focus is to help students to become better students, discovering what their learning style is, facilitating review groups. There are literally 300 plus review groups on campus each week, right? Supporting students in that way. We don't assume that a professor, because they hold a PhD, they can teach. So there are teaching sessions for lecturers as well. Let's Talk teaching on Fridays, teaching with technology Tuesdays, helping them to enhance their ability to deliver in terms of pedagogy, etc. So the support services, academic support services through the Department of Educational Services, the social and well-being services through the Psychological Services Center, because one doesn't have to be crazy to go to the Psychological Services Center, but one needs to recognize that coping with challenges is important, and your ability to respond when challenges occur is important. And that stigma that is typically attached to seeking help, which is quite common in the Caribbean, and anybody who grows up in a British model of education, we know this. You're expected to do it alone. You go inside and you read your book and it's all about you. No, not at SGU. Medicine is a team sport. We teach you to play as a team. We teach you how to collaborate. We teach you to rely on each other. We also teach you to seek help, because the end goal is becoming that practicing physician. So that is how, if I'm thinking of distinctions, I would say the student support services, the holistic student support services to get students to the point of becoming that practicing physician is the key point. And then other support services as well. Jennifer mentioned the career choices. So the Office of Career Guidance would assist in which residencies to apply for and where, based on your current academic trajectory, etc. So that type of support is there from day one as the student comes in through graduation and beyond.
All right. Well, thanks for that. And that's important. So I want you to walk me through. Say I'm a student. I'm in secondary school. I'm taking my CAPE exam, so that's sixth form. I want to be an anesthesiologist. Now, if I start locally, I might have to get my MBBS, and then I go into general practice. I might get an opportunity to work alongside an anesthesiologist if I get a placement at the hospital or something. But suppose I don't want that route, because then I still have to go and specialize to become that again. I still have to do another set of studying. Now, if I am coming to you,
But I'll deliberately interrupt you here, because once one is choosing medicine, you are committed to be a lifelong learner. So if you don't intend studying for long, wrong profession. Let's be clear on that, right? Because I just want to be honest with our listeners here. But essentially what it would be, Sheena, is that you will go through let's say 6th form. So you're looking at a 5-year program to graduate as a physician.
right?
Following our model, you start off 1 year of preclinical coursework. Then you go into the 4-year MD program. You do 2 years of basic sciences, lots of classroom, a little bit of hospital. And then you do your 2 years of clinical clerkships. The penultimate year would be the core rotations: medicine, surgery, peds, OBGYN, psychiatry. You're doing your core rotations there. And in your final year, you have a sub-internship that is mandatory, and then you have electives. where you get to do more of the courses based on the area you believe you would like to specialize in, or areas that you believe you may like to specialize in. You may start off saying anesthesiology, and by the time you get up there, you choose something else. But the North American model of education is different from the British model of education that we see here. Now, when you graduate with that MBBS in the region, you go into an internship program. You may then work for a while as a house officer and then go off to specialize.
Right.
North American model, upon graduation, you apply to your specialty program called a residency program. But that first year is still an internship or foundation year. So you don't escape the foundation year or the internship year in the North American model. It's just that you already placed in your track towards your residency or your specialization. So British model, graduate, internship, then look for a specialization. North American model, apply to the specialization, referred to as residency. First year is still an internship year.
Okay, so the same thing, but just one might come before the other.
Yes, basically that is it. When you graduate, you're still a young doc. You really don't know much, I'm sorry to say. So you still have to be under the supervision of others.
Right. Okay. So, what immigration-wise, that's an important part, because I'm going to come to whichever country I'm in first. So if I'm coming, say, from Jamaica, walk me through the immigration of that. So from coming to if I'm Jamaican and I'm coming to your institution, what do I need immigration-wise for whichever country your school is in? So whether it's St. Martin, Barbados, or Grenada, and then how do I legally get into the US for the 2 years of that 4-year part, MD part?
Mhm.
Yeah, I can go. So St. Martin would be and Barbados would be easy for the students to access. If students are thinking about our UK track, those are actually UKVI visas. So those are just dependent on the various passports. So again, we'd work with students individually to look. So in what I'm referring to are the first 2 years of medical sciences. When students come to the US, everyone who's non-American that's coming to the US for the clinical training are on B1, which are actually business visas. And AUC and Ross boast a 100% acceptance rate with our B1 visas. So again, long history of us doing that to get students into our hospital sites. We provide training on how to speak to the immigration officers. So depending on your passport, some students will actually go right into the US and talk to the immigration officer there at the border. Others will have to apply ahead of time, depending on passport. But again, something we've been doing for years. So we have specialists available to work with the students individually to help guide them through that process.
Mhm.
And
And yes, so
sorry, of course, Barbados will have do they require student visas for Barbados when they're coming?
It depends on the passport that you hold, but usually they would just get the visa when they enter into Barbados.
Thank you.
And same principle applies. 150 countries represented among our student population from inception. So we see all types of passports. As an accepted student of St. George's University, though, you can enter Grenada with that acceptance letter. If you hold a passport that requires a visa, that visa can be issued upon arrival. So there are no issues. You don't have to go searching for a Grenada embassy someplace in order to come in. CARICOM nationals, of course, is easy. So we have visa-free travel. And just as Jennifer mentioned, going off to the US, B1, B2 visa. So it's just as your same visa that you used to go to Disney World. It's just that the purpose of your entering the US will be different, and you'll be provided with supportive documents in order to do that. We do have a consulate officer that will guide as well, but the supportive documents will provide the information necessary for entry. And likewise with the UK, then you apply for a student visa in going to the UK, because you'll be spending an extended period of time if you're doing your 2 years of clinical clerkships there. So student visa for the UK.
So the next question I have is the clinical clerkship. So what happens after that 4-year MD period? So what's the next step for persons after that?
No, let's be clear. At the end of the 4-year MD, you are a doctor. So if you're in the US, you're going into a residency program. If you're in the UK or the Caribbean, you're going into an internship program, and then moving towards full licensure, right? So that at the end of the 4 years, you're a doctor. You're starting to earn money, a little bit at first, starting to earn money, but then you move into the internship, residency / specialization, depending on where you are.
On where you are. Okay. Do you find, oh, sorry, Jennifer, go ahead.
Can I just add, and Colin did mention this, I think sometimes the piece that gets confusing is, the first 2 years of medical sciences, lectures and labs, and the second 2 years of the clerkships, that's when you're figuring out sort of what kind of doctor you want to be. And Colin, I love the way you described that. The second 2 years, mostly hospital with a little bit of the bookwork. So that's the time, right? So if you're really thinking about being an anesthesiologist, you're going to be doing, right, in year 4, you're going to be trying to do some clerkships in anesthesiology to see if that's something you want to do. And that's sort of like when you're actually, figuring it out. So when you do graduate with your MD and you're applying for residency in the US, right, where we, right, specialize immediately, you will be applying for that specialty that you are interested in. So that's sort of like the pathway of how you figure out what kind of physician you want to be. You've got 2 years to try all these different things. I laugh because when I interview students, I always ask them if they have an idea of what kind of doctor they might want to be. And they either have something set in their mind or they don't know, right? They want to wait and sort of figure it out. And I've always wanted to do a follow-up to see how many of them actually changed their perspective once they were in their clinical clerkships.
And so many of them change their perspectives. And it's a combination of things, really. I like use just local parlance saying, no, what you like may not like you. So you may figure that, you want to get into something, but it's not your best forte. That's one. Or you just discover something else that you are better at. The other thing is one of quality of life. So, and sometimes the competitiveness may be. So someone may say anesthesiology, and that will be competitive. One may say, the other areas that are highly competitive because it allows you quality of life from the perspective of I get to determine my work hours. If you're into emergency medicine, you don't get to determine what time you go to bed, right? So, those decisions are also lifestyle decisions that these practicing physicians will make in order to determine what specialty they'll want to go into.
So it's not just I know that you always have ideas of grandeur before you start anything, and everything looks fuzzy and rosy when you have your rose-colored glasses on. So it's best that persons might have an idea, but also as they go through the program, they would recognize what suits them, what may not suit them. Okay, so I have a question for Jennifer, specifically because you mentioned a track for persons with an MBBS already, and I wanted to find out, meaning if they have an MBBS with licensure in the country that they're in, or just a pure MBBS and they haven't done their internship year.
As long as they have earned the MBBS degree, once they've completed it, right, then they can apply to us. It might help explain, we launched this program through realizing that there was a need for students who were looking for access to the US for residency, basically. Students wanted us to provide additional training for the USMLE exams, United States Medical Licensure Assessments, as well as access to our hospital networks. And those are things that we provide only to our students. So we developed the MBBS program as that option, right? Come into semester 5. If you haven't already passed USMLE Step 1, we provide training for that, have full access to our hospital networks, right? So they can start building their network, seeing the different specialties in the US, and then our expertise with helping students match into residency. That was the main benefit of our MBBS to MD pathway. But they do have, since we're graduate entry, they do have to either have already completed a bachelor's degree, which most won't, right, if they went into MBBS right after high school, or they would have to have completed their MBBS actual degree before they can start with us.
Just out of interest, we do have, and it's not an academic program for somebody who holds an MBBS, but we've had students who come to us mainly from the continent of Africa who hold MBBS degrees, and they come into us as clinical tutors. So they come into us on a 3-year contract to work with us, so they earn. They teach as tutors, within the undergraduate, the basic sciences component, by getting familiarized or refamiliarized with the basic sciences and the US model of taking exams, setting exams, they are preparing themselves to take step one. The clinical training they have done back. So the step two is typically easier for them. So we've had MBBS holders, physicians, who came in, worked with us for 3 years, did step one as a result of that teaching as clinical tutors within our program, did step one, did step two, and go off and successfully land residencies. They're not graduates of St. George's University, but they assisted certainly in mentoring our students while they themselves prepared for the USMLE steps.
Okay, and that's interesting to know. Not necessarily that that is actually a pathway for persons to look at, right?
Well, you know, it's they're landing a job, right?
Okay,
So they're earning while
okay,
they study to prepare to move on. You know, so it just depends on how quickly they want to get into that that residency program. So that's again a matter of choice, and it depends on circumstances.
all right. Okay. And the next question I have then is before we start to wrap up, is for Jennifer again. With the scholarships you mentioned, there are quite some sizable scholarships there. Are you saying that you said no application, so those are automatic when you apply once you are considered to be an accepted student?
That's correct. Yeah, once you're accepted into the program, and we've confirmed that you are non-American, those scholarships are automatically awarded. We used to have students write essays, and we'd spend a lot of time reading them and deciding who was going to get the scholarships. We thought, let's just make that easy. So yes, if you are non-American, you apply and are accepted, the scholarship is automatically awarded. Of course, that money it comes off, those scholarship dollars come off the tuition that is due to us. So it's added to the student portal, and each semester you'll see a portion of that larger scholarship off the tuition due to us.
Right. And Colin, I know you have that attractive looking offer with for CARICOM nationals, specifically. That's only for
Well,
CARICOM nationals, yeah?
the 65% off is the preclinical portion of the education. So when it was like 40,000, so those who are coming in, let's say from CSEC for the first 3 years, 65% off of the 40,000. Coming in from CAPE for that first year, 65% off of the 40,000. When promoted into the 4-year program, I'm rounding up deliberately now because the cost of everything goes up. So it's 90,000 per year multiplied by 4. The ticket price is 360,000. But through the international peace bursary, which is geared towards people from developing countries, based on the confidential financial statement that you would have submitted, we can do up to 50% off of that published tuition. So the numbers come back to being similar. I mean, you know, people come home with 100, 120,000, 125,000 by way of scholarships based on need. But it will be based on need in those circumstances because these are institutional scholarships. And of course, I did mention accessibility to the limited number of institutional loans. I don't want people to plan for an institutional loan. That's not where I'm going at all. What I'm saying is that if one, you know, if a couple of things. One is that, you know, you've been performing well. You do have a gap in terms of a funding gap. The institutional loans are there. But again, just to speak to Caribbean students, a hurricane comes. So you had best laid plans. And a hurricane comes, disrupts your family's income source. Institutional loans to assist. COVID hit. Institutional loans have been there to assist. Clico Bico, which you know very well, Sheena, institutional loans there to assist. So you know, it is there as a support service. It's not something that we expect students to plan from day one on, but if you are in train and there are financial challenges, it is something that the institution would look to assist with because our goal is the same as yours, practicing physician.
Right. And so there you have it, folks. I just have one additional question. So when I accept my offer from either SGU, Ross, or AUC, tell me what are my next steps? So is there a tuition deposit to pay? How about the housing process? What does all of that look like for a student?
Mm-hmm. All right. What we didn't actually address living expenses. So yes, there is a deposit. It's $500, so it's nothing big. And then there will $500 demonstrates your commitment to come to us. right? 500 US, that is. And then there will be a payment regime, a payment schedule that you will be given. So that deposit is counted against your tuition. So that's a discount on your tuition. And then there will be an installment plan coming up to your first semester as to how you would pay your tuition. You're guaranteed on-campus housing for your first year if you're coming into the 4-year program. If you're coming into preclinical, 5-year program, you're guaranteed on-campus housing for the first 2 years. If you're under 18, you are going to be on campus until your age of adulthood, right? You have no choice in that, unless you have good, strong family in Grenada. But overall, when we say living expenses, and I think this is important to cater to as well, as a preclinical student coming from CSEC, coming from CAPE, living expenses totals about $14,000 per year, US. When you are in the 4-year MD program, it gets a little bit more expensive, of course, when you're stateside, have to rent an apartment in New York, for example. It gets up to be about 18,000, between 18 and 20,000 US per year. But these are all encompassing numbers now. Housing, food, books, entertainment, traveling home, on vacations, etc. That's the number that you look for outside of tuition for your living expenses.
Yeah, thanks for that, Colin. Jennifer?
In AUC and Ross, very similar. Our enrollment deposit is $1,000 US though. So it's a little bit more. And then our tuition begins right before first semester. But as you asked, once the enrollment deposit is paid, then we start working with students to help them look at housing on our off-campus housing options, ask them to start looking at their flights to get them to campus. If they do need a visa, we would start that process right away. So then, once they're accepted, the sooner they're accepted, the earlier we can start working on all these different pieces to make sure that they're getting to campus on time so that they are fresh and ready and prepared to start medical school.
Great. And for Ross is also $1,000 US for the deposit as well?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So let's see if we've all been paying attention. Let's recap this, folks. I have with me Jennifer Stovall representing the American University of the Caribbean School of Medicine out in St. Martin on the Dutch side. And then I have Colin, also Ross University School of Medicine. How can I forget? That's home territory right here in Barbados where I am based. And just to break down the difference between those two. So for those, if you have a degree already, so if you have your Bachelor of Science, and you have taken all the prerequisite science courses that's required for entry into medical school, into the US, if you are a non-US citizen, no MCAT required, but there are some other admission requirements that you can look at. You can definitely look at that program at AUC and Ross. So having a degree is important. American University of the Caribbean offers a track for persons with an MBBS already. So that is also a unique feature to AUC. So for those of you doctors, those of you with your MBBS, there is an option for you if you want to become a physician and access a residency in the US via AUC. And then we have my friend Colin Dell representing St. George's University out in Grenada, offering quite a number of pathways from persons in secondary school all the way up to university. There's a 7-year, 6-year, 5-year, and then there's the 4-year program. Colin, correct me if I'm wrong, no MCAT for non-US citizens, right? For the 4-year?
That's correct. No MCAT for non-US citizens or permanent residents. That's correct.
Right, great. So there are some nice little exemptions, and we know every year we have persons asking, well, I want to become a physician, but not home. I want to go to the US, or I want to be a physician in the UK. These schools right here in the Caribbean do offer you that. And there are some incentives in terms of awards for international students coming from the Caribbean. With AUC and Ross, they're automatic once you are accepted. For SGU in Grenada, there is for the preclinical years a discount for CARICOM nationals, reducing those preclinical years for you significantly. And there's also the ability to qualify for further scholarship for your clinical years. Did it get all of that kind of summed up nicely?
You did a great job.
There is access, and that is important. Is that don't get fearful when you go onto any of our websites and you see a price. Don't worry. Talk to us. There is an opportunity for it to be reduced.
Well, if they become a plastic surgeon, at least within a couple of years, they can knock off those loans one time. So, if with all the BBLs going around, yeah, they can knock off that tuition in a couple of years. The ROI is high depending on the specialty or the heart specialist. So medicine might cost a lot, but the ROI is huge once you decide on your specialty. And so you got to really think about it. So remember, options for secondary school students, those with post-secondary education and those with an MBBS already. You don't need to leave the Caribbean. You can actually start your process right here, either in Grenada, in Barbados, where I am, or in St. Martin. And funny enough, I've been to all three of these lovely countries and one I live in and call home. So it's good to say study Caribbean and become a US or UK trained doctor via AUC, Ross, or SGU. I want to thank you guys this evening for your time. I know, Jennifer, you're a little bit with like jet lag. So so I'm going to release you. And Colin, I know you've been up and down all over the world just promoting studying in the Caribbean right here. So I want to say thanks for those who are in the Zoom. And remember, you can apply to any of these schools via the CutFest website. We have our Apply Medicine platform, bringing you more options across the globe, including right here at home in the Caribbean. To learn more, just visit www.cutfestinternational.com. Hopefully you will see us on the road when our next CutFest education in-person fairs for the fall schedule come in, making stops in Barbados, St. Lucia, Jamaica, and maybe Antigua. We're not sure about that yet, but we will make that decision soon. So coming again all through the region as we do it year round. So good evening to everyone. Thank you again.